My name is Philip Harrelson, and I'd like to welcome you back again to the Barnabas study. And I've been doing several book reviews, and these books are books that Pastor Tony Mancino from Pittsburgh has sent to me over the last several months. And Brother Mancino, forgive me for not doing these book reviews. He sent me more than 400, right at 400 books over the last few years. Been a huge blessing to me, and I have mentioned your name a number of times to our church to pray for you and for your church, because you have certainly been a great blessing to me. The book that I'm going to mention to you today or review is a book by Terry L. Johnson, and it's published by Banner of Truth, and it is called The Identity and Attributes of God. And this book is sort of a book you may have heard of a man by the name of Stephen Charnock. He was one of the old Puritans, and he wrote a book that was about the attributes of God. Spent probably 400 pages, 500 pages writing about that. That's in a Banner of Truth set. You can purchase that book as a standalone book, but I've got the set by Stephen Charnock. I think it's a 4 or 5 volume set, five volume set. And so, but what Terry Johnson did was he came along and now again, when you read books like this, you obviously read them with a filter, and I do that very much so, but Terry Johnson is a pastor in Savannah, Georgia, and he talks about this matter that he decided whenever he was in a youth group back in 1979 that he was first exposed to Charnock's book, and did just a brief summer Bible study with that group. And then he decided that he would go back and he would start preaching 34 years later in 2013. He thought, well, I'll preach about the attributes of God, and ended up preaching 82 sermons, preached, taught out of that. And this book is a compilation, I suppose, of his sermon notes. Now, I first heard about this book on a podcast. That podcast is called The Mortification of Spin. Carl Trueman and the other fellow's name slips my mind at the moment, Todd Pruitt, and they talked about this book on their podcast. Now you can see I have already got this book marked up, and I believe in annotating books and marking in them and writing in the margins and taking notes and various things. In fact, I have journals that I have set aside, and whenever I'm reading, I generally will have a pen in my hand whenever I'm writing or whenever I'm reading books, just to kind of jot down things and then certainly write in the margins of those books. But he talks about the incommunicable attributes of God. He spends a couple of chapters on that, and then he starts talking about God as creator. And then he gets into the matter, and just I appreciated the chapter where that he spent a couple of chapters talking about the holiness of God, which is probably God's chief attribute. And then he spends a chapter talking about our responsibility toward holiness in that second chapter. And then he talks about the justice and the righteousness of God. He talks about the goodness of God. There's even some parts where that he even explores, and right now our nation is in a place where that, and I won't mention the situation because of this video will be out there on YouTube for a while. It doesn't matter. It does matter the situation that took place. However, it's an evil situation that took place, and yet God, Genesis 50:20, Joseph speaks in a manner that what his brothers meant for evil, God meant for good. And I do believe that there is a redemptive effort that God can use for all of the evil. We will ultimately see that in throughout in eternity. where that God has used evil to rectify and to change and even evangelize our world. And Terry Johnson talks about some of that matter in this. And so this book is right at 400 pages. But certainly I would commend this volume to you. It's published by Banner of Truth. And that's the other thing. Banner has an excellent, their books are Smythe sewn, and the quality and workmanship by which they publish, and most of their books are hardbound. Just an excellent copy to add to your library, and I pray it will stimulate your mind in such a way so that you can be a blessing to your congregation. Well, thanks for stopping in. And until next time, the Lord bless you.